Shortly after, Australian media dubbed them the newest power couple of Sydney's criminal underworld. Trent Jeske and Jade Heffer were arrested in a drug raid in May of 2024. Officers from the elite Raptor squad stormed Jeske's Maryland's rental as part of an investigation into organized drug networks that were carrying out their distribution through dialer-dealer phones. Heffer was found to be in breach of prior bail conditions, which required her to live with her mother in Barham. The 28-year-old, who came from a small town and was once a Coles butcher, had an extensive history of associating with high-ranking criminals. She was the widow of well-known underworld figure and lone wolf biker Yusuf Nazliolu, who was gunned down at their Rhodes apartment block in 2022. The following year, Heffer started dating Ahmad Alamillo in August. The police turned up at the man's Green Acre home in the city's west to ensure that he was complying with a firearms ban. Heffer hindered officers who were trying to carry out the search, and Alamillo was able to escape and go on the run. He evaded capture for about a month until he was arrested while he was engaged in intimate acts with another woman inside a unit in South Creque. While Alamillo was on the run, Heffer remained jailed for interfering with the investigation. She spent roughly 7 weeks behind bars before she was released on strict bail conditions. Her relationship with Alamillo broke down, and in April of 2024, she married Jeske, whom sources described as a positive and stabilizing influence in her life. He was, however, a rising underworld figure himself. Jeske led the Ready for War organization, which ran drugs for the Alamillo network. He'd spent 20 months behind bars and walked free in February of 2024. Following the May raid, Heffer was released with strict conditions that included her being forbidden from contacting Jeske or being within 200 meters of his home. Less than 2 weeks after the raid, the Supreme Court overturned the non-association order. Justice Natalie Adams ruled that the order was unusual, given that Jeske wasn't a co-offender. Heffer's updated bail conditions stated that she was still required to live at her mother's home, but allowed her to stay at Jeske's residence when in Sydney for pre-arranged legal and medical appointments. By then, Jeske had also been granted conditional release after he was charged with the unrelated offense of driving while license application refused. Number 10. Alberto Companioni and Patricia Perez-Gonzalez. 31-year-old Alberto Companioni and his bikini model girlfriend Patricia Perez-Gonzalez, aged 26, appeared in Manhattan Supreme Court in April of 2016 after they were arrested for a $2 million credit card scam. From December of 2014 to January of 2016, the couple stole personal information from vulnerable elderly victims and then used it to open up to 40 American Express Platinum cards in their name. The cards were mailed to vacant properties from where they were collected by the pair. When law enforcement raided Miami addresses that were linked to Companioni and Perez-Gonzalez, they found dozens of credit cards in victims' names, forged identification and licenses, a credit card encoder, blank credit cards, and more than 10 phones labeled in victims' names. Various items which had been purchased with the pilfered funds were also recovered. The loot included designer clothes and accessories, racing bikes, a Rolex watch, and ski gear. The scam funded the couple's lavish lifestyle, which featured trips to Hawaii, New York, and Los Angeles, among others. They went out to expensive restaurants and exclusive clubs in addition to buying products at high-end stores that included Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Hermes, and Burberry. Perez-Gonzalez would also buy wholesale merchandise, which was then sold on her own website called Le Fashion Wheels. Even though the scam stretched to various points throughout the US, the case was heard in New York because that's where American Express was headquartered. Companioni and Perez-Gonzalez initially denied the multitude of theft and larceny charges against them. The model eventually admitted fourth-degree grand larceny in a deal with prosecutors that entailed she wouldn't spend any jail time. During sentencing, her lawyer told the court that Perez-Gonzalez had changed her ways, stating, "She's a full-time college student getting straight A's, and she's very happy to put this whole situation behind her." Companioni also took a deal pleading guilty to grand larceny and identity theft, for which he was handed a sentence of 2 to 6 years behind bars. Number 9. Anthony and Braelie Alamillo. In the summer of 2019, an unnamed teenage girl from Utah posted an online ad selling her iPhone 8 for $400. Anthony and Braelie Alamillo responded to the ad, and the teen agreed to meet them at an address in St. George. Anthony remained behind the wheel of the couple's Ford Focus as Braelie got out and met with the girl. During the rendezvous, the woman asked to see if her SIM card would fit the device. The teen agreed, placed the card in the iPhone, and gave it back to Braelie, who walked back to her car with it. She sat in the passenger seat and asked Anthony if he had another $100 on him while the teen waited by the vehicle. At some point in the moments that followed, it became apparent to her that the couple were trying to steal her phone. She reached inside their vehicle through the passenger window and tried to retrieve the device from Braelie. The latter reacted by punching her in the face and shoulders. While the teen was halfway inside the car, Anthony started driving off. The victim was dragged for roughly 200 feet and the Ford's tire ran over her foot in the process. She was eventually able to grab her phone and fell out of the moving car. An ambulance rushed her to an area hospital, and she received treatment for injuries that weren't deemed life-threatening. Anthony and Braelie headed back home, parked about a mile away, and proceeded on foot. The police caught up with them and took them into custody. Officers determined that they'd never had any intention of paying for the iPhone, given that they only had $4 on them. They were booked at the Washington County Jail on felony charges of aggravated assault and robbery. Number 8. Dustin Allen Dove and Kaylee Grace Turner. On May the 25th of 2024, a shooting took place in Waynesboro, Virginia, during the course of which 22-year-old Seth Wayne Wallace was struck multiple times. The young man succumbed to his injuries 2 weeks later at a trauma center. 16 shots were fired during the attack and at least 8 bullets penetrated Wallace's body, causing major damage and subsequent infections to his liver, intestines, pelvis, and testicles. Body cam footage showed the young man telling a police officer that a man named Dustin Dove had shot him. Wallace was initially taken to Augusta Health for an emergency blood transfusion before he was transferred to the UVA Health Trauma Center for expert care, where he ultimately passed away in June. Following a 2-day jury trial in April of 2025, 23-year-old Dustin Allen Dove of McGaysville was found guilty of first-degree murder and using a firearm in the commission of a felony. He and Wallace had met in 2022 and became inseparable best friends, but the relationship faltered in early 2024. Wallace reportedly began behaving inappropriately towards Dove's longtime girlfriend, 21-year-old Kaylee Grace Turner. Dove felt that he was hitting on her and trying to manipulate her by telling her of his past infidelity. Turner and Dove made the decision to cut ties with Wallace, but the conflict grew and eventually reached a boiling point. The two men exchanged threatening messages hours before the shooting. The texts were presented in court and read, "Dog, I'm going to destroy you. Seth is a dead man, and I'm going to get away with it." On March the 24th of 2024, Dove and Turner made the decision together that they would drive to Wallace's Waynesboro home, where Dove would shoot him. After the deed was done, they traveled to Matthias, West Virginia to visit Turner's father. The couple told him about the shooting and then left to dispose of evidence. Following her arrest, Turner collaborated with the police and led officers to the spot where she and her boyfriend had dumped the murder weapon, an AR-15 style rifle. It had Wallace's blood on the barrel when it was found, split in two and placed in separate trash bags at a remote location in Page County. In the shooting's aftermath, Dove messaged multiple friends about it and in reference to Wallace told one of them, "I hope he doesn't pull through." The defense only called upon Dove as a witness. He was a U.S. Army veteran who'd earned the Expert Marksman badge and scored the highest in his company on shooting challenges. He claimed that he'd only meant to shoot and injure Wallace, pointing to his marksman record as testament of his ability to do so. He claimed that his former best friend had startled him, resulting in the killing. At the end of their cross-examination, the prosecution pointed out that it was weird that Dove would fire 16 rounds but only intend to injure Wallace, not kill him. A motion hearing on August the 15th of 2025 sealed the outcome. Dove was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For her role in Wallace's killing, Turner pleaded guilty to first-degree murder as a principal in the second degree and received a 30-year prison sentence with 18.5 years suspended, followed by 5 years of supervised probation upon release. Number 7. Christopher Arnold and Trista Reilly. Connecticut couple Trista Reilly and Christopher Arnold were on a JetBlue flight from New York's JFK Airport to Sarasota Bradenton International Airport in Florida on July the 19th of 2025. During the flight, a mother approached a member of the cabin crew to report that her children had witnessed Reilly and Arnold, both of whom were in their early 40s, engaged in an intimate act. The incident occurred at around 10:30 and the flight attendant walked to Reilly's seating area. At that point, the woman was observed making up and down movements with her head while she was face down in her partner's lap. The mid-air indecency was corroborated by the witnesses who noticed that Reilly had also used her hand on Arnold's privates. About an hour later, when the plane landed, the couple were taken into custody by local law enforcement. They were each charged with 2 felony counts of lewd and lascivious exhibition, and another hearing was scheduled for the second half of August. JetBlue banned the couple indefinitely and released a statement saying, "This behavior is completely unacceptable and will not be tolerated." Number 6. Yordan Noah and Summer Watkins. In November of 2021, Florida Highway Patrol troopers stopped 24-year-old Yordan Noah for driving his black BMW with a suspended license. Noah was in the car with his girlfriend, 24-year-old Summer Watkins. Trooper Jade Perez-Morales told the couple that he would give them a ride to an area gas station so that they could make arrangements to go home. When the couple were placed in the back of the squad car, Watkins said to Noah, "Baby, we should record an OnlyFans video back here." She then asked the trooper, "Can I be back here?" Perez-Morales sternly told her that she couldn't do that. He then left the couple alone for a few minutes. Shortly thereafter, Noah was removed from the squad car and arrested by another trooper after a controlled substance was found in his vehicle. Perez-Morales drove Watkins to a gas station. Minutes later, he returned to the same location and arrested her. Upon reviewing surveillance footage from the squad car, Trooper Perez-Morales discovered that Watkins had performed an oral act on her boyfriend while he recorded her on his phone. The act occurred when they were alone in the vehicle and lasted for about 40 seconds. In the midst of it, Watkins said, "5-0," while Noah excitedly yelled, "Can y'all hear me? D in the back of a state trooper right now." Watkins was charged with lewd and lascivious behavior and breach of the peace, while Noah was charged with possession of a controlled substance, possession of marijuana, lewd and lascivious behavior, breach of the peace, and indecent exposure. Number 5. Johnson, Larose, and Charlotte Fischer.
Target is about to close, you guys. We are about to spend the night in Target.
In the winter of 2022, YouTuber couple Johnson Larose and Charlotte Fischer, who ran the channel Saucy and Honey, uploaded a video called 24-Hour Overnight Challenge in Target. On February the 21st, they hid behind a makeshift fort of boxes inside the store in Exton, Pennsylvania, and waited until it closed. They successfully avoided detection. Once they were alone, the couple was seen wandering, playing, and dancing around the empty store. In their video, Larose and Fischer appeared to remain inside the store until it opened up again. And after they went outside, they celebrated successfully completing the challenge. The video became the most viewed on the couple's channel. The police then caught wind of their actions and they were arrested on charges of third-degree criminal trespassing and conspiracy, in addition to being banned from every Target in Pennsylvania. Aside from their arrest, Larose and Fischer also faced backlash from their viewers when it emerged that they'd faked some parts of the video's timeline. They didn't actually spend the whole night inside the store, and it was that aspect that ultimately led to them being detected by the police. Larose and Fischer left at around 3 a.m. through an emergency exit, and in doing so they activated the alarm. They were no longer there when the police arrived at the scene, but they'd been captured on surveillance footage. West Whiteland Township Police Detective Scott Pezick told the media, "It became a little bit bigger of an investigation trying to find out what they were doing. Was there something criminal?" The couple then returned to Target when it opened the following morning and through editing pretended that they'd been inside overnight. Their arrest gained a considerable degree of media attention and was covered by multiple news outlets. In a subsequent video, Larose and Fischer, who were both in their mid-20s, criticized what they perceived as negativity from viewers who accused them of faking the clip. Fischer said, "You being combative like that and attacking people really makes me wonder who you are as a person." They suggested that the media was lying about them leaving the Target and also denied being arrested, even though their mugshots were available online. Number 4. Tito Ortiz and Jenna Jameson. In the early to mid-2000s, MMA fighter Tito Ortiz rose to prominence as one of the Ultimate Fighting Championship's biggest stars. He was the promotion's light heavyweight champion from April of 2000 to September of 2003. Even after losing the title, he went on a win streak and in 2006 became one of the UFC's main pay-per-view draws. That same year, he began dating adult actress Jenna Jameson, who was herself at one point her industry's most prominent figure. Ortiz and Jameson had twin boys together, but the relationship was tumultuous. In the spring of 2010, Ortiz was arrested at the home they shared in Huntington Beach, California, on suspicion of domestic violence. TMZ posted a video of him being led away by local law enforcement. Through tears during a subsequent news conference, Ortiz denied ever hitting Jameson and blamed their domestic situation on her addiction to the opiate OxyContin. The fighter said, "My parents have gone through an addiction and I see the mirror again. and I'm not going to let my family go through that. Ortiz added, I hold everything dear to my heart that Jenna will be okay. UFC President Dana White floated the idea of severing ties with the fighter, but he ultimately remained with the promotion and fought for several more years. Ortiz and Jameson reconciled after the domestic violence incident, but eventually split up in 2013, with the fighter receiving full custody of their sons. Years later, Ortiz would look back at the breakup and describe it as a blessing in disguise. Number 3. Andy and Samantha Maynard. An unnamed employee from a Goodwill in Lavallette, West Virginia, raised the alarm with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office on February the 15th of 2022 after overhearing a couple as they discussed plans to rob the store. Members of the local drug enforcement unit arrived at the scene where they arrested Andy and Samantha Maynard. Both were convicted felons, and at the time he was a fugitive from Kentucky while she was wanted on drug charges in Wayne County. While officers were inside the store, a third unidentified person fled from the couple's vehicle. West Virginia State Police troopers assisted with arresting the Maynards. When the couple's vehicle was searched, the authorities found a handgun in the driver's seat, a sawed-off shotgun in the back seat, and a revolver on the console by the passenger seat. The outcome of the case remained unclear. Number 2. Ahito Kiho. On November the 9th of 2019, during a wedding reception in the Dimapur district of Nagaland, India, the bride and groom openly displayed firearms, leading to an official probe. Ahito Kiho and his partner, whose identity wasn't revealed, were photographed and caught on video holding assault rifles. Kiho posed with an AK-47 while his bride held an M16. Kiho was the son of Ahito Kiho, a leader of the National Socialist Council of Nagaland Unification, a militant Christian Maoist separatist group aiming to establish a sovereign Naga state. India's Ministry of Home Affairs had labeled the NSCN a major rebel group and designated certain branches of it as terrorist organizations. Kiho's wedding photos went viral and were considered controversial, particularly since they occurred in the context of historic peace talks between the government and NCSNU. The act of brandishing the rifles was in violation of the Arms Act and of a recent ceasefire agreement. Updates indicated that 2 NSCNU members who'd supplied the newly wedded couple with the firearms had been arrested. Number 1. Russell Murphy and Alexis Creque. In August of 2012, Alexis Creque and Russell Murphy were arrested in Manhattan, NYC for spray painting a building. Murphy was a local graffiti artist whose tag, Cash 4, was widespread on urban structures in Brooklyn and Manhattan. Before they were taken into custody, Creque had acted as a lookout while Murphy tagged the building. While the couple were in handcuffs and each escorted by an officer outside Manhattan Criminal Court, Murphy leaned in to kiss Creque. Brooklyn photographer Mo Gelber captured that moment in a perfectly timed photo. He named it Last Kiss, and it went viral after Gelber posted it on Facebook. He wanted to enter it in a prestigious contest called Project Imagination, run by photography industry giant Canon and acclaimed Hollywood director Ron Howard. One stipulation was that each contestant had to get a signed release of the people who appeared in their photos. Gelber took to social media to ask for help in identifying Creque and Murphy. He was eventually able to learn their names, but the couple refused to grant him permission to use the photo, fearing that it would damage Murphy's court case. Recounting the kiss with the graffiti artist, whom she'd been dating for 5 months in the lead-up, Creque told the Daily News, "We knew that we were going to be split up once we got to central booking." The 28-year-old added, "We had a crazy romance all summer. It is like a movie." Thanks for watching. Would you rather date a model that was certifiably insane or take a vow of celibacy for a year? Let us know in the comments section below.